Upfront and Outspoken with Bob Williams. If you love the Constitution,
man is not free unless government is limited.
If you love freedom,
as government expands, liberty contracts.
If you believe in personal responsibility, if you believe America is still the greatest nation on earth, then get ready for an experience you'll never forget. This is Upfront and Outspoken. Here's your host, Bob Williams.
Some folks are born made to wave the flag. Ooh, they're red, white, and blue.
And welcome back. This is Upfront Outspoken. I'm your host, Bob Williams. Glad to have you with me on this Monday. Coming to you via Skype. That's right, via Skype. I love Skype because it gets such great quality. Is Private Investigator John Perry. Now, before I bring John on, I want to inform everybody that when John first brought this to us about this ethics committee, we did indeed invite Mayor Jackson to come on air. Now, the reason she did not is her secretary insisted that we submit a list of questions for her for their approval. Now, anyone that knows my show knows me. I don't do that. I don't play those games. You know, that's just the way I am. So right now, joining me via Skype is, of course, Private Investigator John Perry. Good morning, John. Welcome back to the program.
Good morning, Bob.
Now, John, I want you to, before I air this clip, it's about a 3.5 minute clip. I want you to tell me and our listeners exactly what an ethics committee is, first off. Secondly, what prompted you to file a violation of ethics against Enda Jackson.
All right. Well, the Ethics Committee is basically the only way that we as citizens here in Savannah have to hold our public officials accountable. It is supposed to be made up of a group of impartial people that listen to the complaints and determine whether or not they should issue, something like a censure or reprimand to the offending party. I decided to go the route of filing ethics charges against Mayor Jackson when, in the course of trying to proceed down with an investigation into I'm a District 6 resident, and my alderman is an alderman named Tony Thomas, and it appeared there had been some misappropriation or misuse of public funds. So I submitted a Georgia Open Records request, or a GORA request, asking for simply 4 months of travel for Alderman Thomas. And I was summoned down to the mayor's office before this information would be released. I found this highly unusual, and I took precautions of bringing, a possible potential witness with me, because it was so unusual. Something was up. I knew something was up. I didn't know what, but I knew something was up. And I'm very glad I did. I also took the precaution of Georgia is a what's called a one-party state, where to record a conversation, only one party has to be aware of it. And I'm a PI. I understand the idea of covering yourself, and I wore a wire. When I got there, I was greeted by the mayor, or by the mayor's secretary, actually, and I believe that the entire audio is, or if not, I will be making available if you don't, Bob. You hear very clearly the mayor state at one point, the door can remain open, and my associate waited outside. I'm clarifying that, so I want there to be crystal clear. There was no expectation of privacy. Once inside the mayor's office, I was met by her, not only her, but the clerk of council, a lady named Diane Reese. And in order to receive the information that I had requested, I was forced to provide all kinds of information. My personal, everything, where I live, my cell phone number, all my private information. I clearly asked Mayor Jackson, will you know, what's going to happen with this? And she was like, oh, I'll keep it private. No one will ever know. Well, turns out she's a liar.
Well, let me break right here for a minute there, John, because you're getting into the audio that I want people to hear. Now, I want everyone to listen very carefully. You're going to hear several voices, and what we did was some of what John just said. He was asked at that ethics committee, okay? So what we did is what we had done in our editing, from our editing department, was we had those questions from the ethics committee, and then what we did was we edited in exactly what Mayor Jackson said, and I guess you could say the final conclusions by this ethics committee. And I'm going to be bringing John back on, but I want you all to hear this 3-minute and 25-second segment.
On September 14, 2012, Mr. Perry filed a complaint with the Georgia Attorney General's office in which he alleged that Mayor Jackson required him to tender his home address, telephone number, driver's license, and private investigator's license. And he also alleges that she promised to keep that information confidential, but thereafter shared that information with other people. On September 25th, 2012, Senior Assistant Attorney General Stephen Ritter responded to Mr. Perry's letter and stated that although the Open Records Act did not require or demand production of an address or telephone number, it was the Attorney General's office policy whenever they receive an open records request that they request that information to satisfy the request. He indicated that the Mayor's office may have overstepped its boundaries if it required this information. However, he stated that the Attorney General's office could take no further action because Mr. Perry received the materials that he requested.
Well, but you're going to have to give me something. This is the first time that we've ever had a request directly, since I've been in office, and I've been in office 13 years, requesting information directly from a private investigator as it pertains. Now, Ms. Reese is the clerk of council, and usually those kind of things would come through the clerk of council's office, but it did not. Okay. But what I would like for you to decide, because in order to keep me straight in case something comes up, I need you to sign. I am going to sign that I have released this information to you on Mr. Thomas. But I need your local address and I need a photo ID to attach to this as well. Okay? So that's all. And if you want to peruse it...
In fact, you actually should have my photo ID.
No, that's for downstairs. Okay. I have nothing to do with that downstairs. So if you will give us your...
make a copy.
Yeah, your ID and everything.
Now, who is going to get the copy of my ID?
That is kept in a personal file. In a file. All of the information, just like yours, is kept confidential. It's kept confidentially in this office.
He also alleges a lack of impartiality because the mayor showed more concern about her not going to jail for anyone rather than the seriousness of the situation.
Leave me, the Attorney General is my best friend. I'm telling you, I don't do you. I'm not going to jail for nobody or anything, and this is public.
Right.
He alleges of misuse of public funds because the mayor stated. He alleges that she is responsible for all travel by council.
I'm going to explain to you that any alderman and myself that travel, that I'm responsible for that travel.
The board appears to be in unanimity on this, that that the threshold showing has not been met and that there's not a need for any additional evidence.
All right. Now you heard the decision of this quote-unquote ethics committee. They deemed there was no evidence. And so now I'm going to bring on John as to why he was not allowed to present the evidence, including, the exact words, you heard it out of Enda Jackson herself. Why did they not allow you to bring forth your evidence?
The long and short of it is the city attorney that was representing them and reading at the very beginning, her name is Jennifer Herman. She lied. There's no other way to put it. You guys just heard. She says that in his letter, in his communication with me, the Attorney General stated that his office requires the same information. That's a flat-out 100% lie.
Right, it is, because we do have a copy of that letter from the Georgia Department of Law, and nowhere in that letter is that statement made. What she did state, and I got to say this, the way she put it, she says, may have, when in fact, according to the letter, it says she basically probably did, and you heard her herself say, I need this information. So
I'm going to require from you, is what she said.
Right, exactly. She did say that right there. So there's no disputing it. But the question always goes down to, John, is, you, during the time that you were at this ad hoc committee, this, and I'm going to get into it with you in a little bit here. You got frustrated yourself over what was going on, and like I said, everybody, I am going to make the actual audio to both this committee's hearing and the entire discussion you had with Mayor Jackson, Mayor Jackson, available to anybody. So if you want a copy of it, all you got to do is send me an email, kkrp1610@yahoo.com. We will make both of these audios available to everyone. But John, the question boils down to, why did they not allow you to present this evidence?
They had already made a decision, I think, before the hearing. And here's the interesting thing about this. There was no ethics committee even impaneled before I filed my charges, because the previous ethics committee all had to resign because they all discovered, oh, hey, gee, look, we have conflicts of interest.
Okay, so what we're saying here is, did this, or I want to say it, the committee that was indeed impaneled for this, they all had direct ties to Mayor Jackson. Would I be making an assumption, or is that actually fact?
I think that is a safe conclusion to make. It's pretty evident.
So their basic goal was to protect the image of the mayor and try in the process to discredit you, correct?
I don't know if I would say that. What I would say was their basic goal was to sweep this under the rug. I can't speak to the desires and goals of the individual members, but I can say there was no real desire to hear any evidence. The letter from Stephen Ritter, for crying out loud, that was the entire basis for my complaint, that was never disseminated to the members of the ethics committee. Instead, you had Ms. Herman reading what the letter said, only she wasn't reading what the letter said. She was lying about what is contained in the letter from Assistant Attorney General.
Now, I'm assuming you have that letter probably right in front of you.
Yes, I do.
Okay. I want you to read verbatim the exact letter.
Mr. Perry, I am in receipt of your complaint dated September 14, 2012, and thank you for same. You assert that the personal assistant to Mayor Enda Jackson was instructed by the mayor that you were required to wait until the next day when the mayor returned, and that you would need to meet with the mayor to review documents. Upon your arrival, after waiting for a few minutes for the mayor to become available, the mayor required you to tender your home address, telephone number, driver's license, and private investigator license. Further, you assert that the mayor promised to keep the information confidential. However, the mayor later shared your personal information with other people. Under Georgia law, the Attorney General, as an independent constitutional officer, has the discretionary authority to enforce the Open Records Act. However, the primary duties of the Attorney General's office is to represent the state agencies, departments, authorities, and the governor. We do not, in fact, by law, cannot represent individuals or their interests. Therefore, the only aspects of your complaint that would be undisputed, outstanding open records requests. If you wish to pursue other legal remedies, you will need to hire private legal counsel to assist you. Likewise, we do not have any authority to investigate or prosecute the local governmental misconduct you allege. I agree with you that the Georgia Open Records Act does not require a citizen to meet with an elected official as a condition of reviewing the government, nor does the Act require disclosure of a home address, telephone number, driver's license, or investigator's license to do so. The mayor's office may have overstepped its authority if it required this information. As to sharing your personal information with other people, any information tendered to a government authority is public record. The information cannot be kept confidential because once it is sent to a public employee, it becomes public record. Should you need assistance through the Open Government Mediation Program in the future, we do require that you submit with your complaint copies of any open records requests tendered and any responses received. We will also require a telephone number and a home address or post office for mailing. We are copying with the mayor with this response so that she will be aware of our review and our position. However, there is no further action that we can take as you receive the records. I hope this information is helpful. Signed, Stephen Ritter.
Now, there, like you said, John, nowhere in there does it state what was initially brought up at that hearing.
Right, exactly. In fact, if you look, he agrees with me 100% that the Georgia Open Records does not require this for Agora. The only reason that they would ask for a mailing address or phone number was if I was to pursue more legal action. So unless Ms. Herman is a complete unless Ms. Herman is a complete failure as an attorney who cannot read this letter and understand and grasp this very simple concept, then she purposely lied. So we're stuck with the two options of one, she's either an incompetent lawyer who should not be representing anybody, let alone the city of Savannah, or she's a liar who is choosing to lie to try and persuade people when, that's what we're stuck with. There are no other logical things that we can assume from this. She's either a liar or she's incompetent.
The one thing that intrigued me the most is that why they didn't mail it to you is because of the fact in that letter, if I heard it correctly, they basically asked for your address so they can mail you this information. Yet the mayor required you to come to her office and pick this up. What was your first reaction when you heard the fact, Mayor Jackson herself wants you to come downtown?
I found that highly unusual because I didn't want them knowing where I live, quite frankly. And I told them I'm glad to swing by the city hall and pick it up. And it was at that point, at first they initially asked for my mailing address so they could send it to me. And I'm like, no, that's fine. I can just swing by and pick it up. And when I refused to give them a physical address is when they required me to come by and meet with the mayor.
And that's highly unusual that you get to meet the mayor herself, I'm assuming.
I would assume so. And the mayor tells another whopper of a lie when she says that normally open records requests come from the clerk of council's office. They don't. They come through the public information office. And here's the thing. Diane Reese, who met with the mayor, is extremely corrupt. I found this out later, and this has been documented through other news agencies have covered her. She's also the one who certified that the mayor, there's some dispute about where she lived. Quite frankly, she lives on Wilmington Island and was paying taxes on the residents on Wilmington Island. But when she ran for mayor, guess who certified her as being a Savannah resident? None other than Diane Reese. So I think it's not a large leap to say the reason that she would have liked me to go through Diane Reese, and here's the thing, I have other open records requests that I submitted through Diane Reese's office when I found out how corrupt she was. I have proof of, because I had somebody inside there that actually provided me information. I knew what I was looking for before I went looking. They altered documents that I specifically requested. I have the unaltered documents and I have the altered ones.
Now, John, I'm going to ask you right here on air. Are you willing to post both the unaltered and the altered documents on your website?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Now, John, I want you to tell everybody your exact, because we're almost out of time here. I mean, like I said, every time we get you on here, a lot of information comes out. Once again, tell people where they can go to view these documents themselves.
I will have it up. I'll put it up on the whoistonythomas.com website.
All right. And I want to remind everybody, once again, if you want a copy of both the audio from John's meeting with the mayor and the audio of this, I hate to say it, of this ethics committee hearing, we're going to make them available to you. All you have to do is send me an email to kkrp1610@yahoo.com, and we will give you the direct link so you can download these for yourself. John, once again, like I said, our time is up. I do want to bring you back on because there is so much going on in Savannah, and I'm so glad that people like you are staying on top of things. Yeah, can we get you back on here pretty quick?
Absolutely.
All right. Hang on a minute, John. What can I tell you, ladies and gentlemen, everybody else? That's right. Time for me to get out of here. Stay tuned, because coming up right after NPR News, Ed Till will be with you all the way till 4 o'clock this afternoon. Until tomorrow, 6 a.m., this is Bob Williams. Take care of yourselves.